Hi, and welcome to ChartYourFi. This is a podcast and YouTube channel designed to help service members become financially independent. It's not just for service members or veterans, but also family members and anyone else that has the inspiration to do better. We talk about goal planning and financial planning here on ChartYourFi podcast. All right, let's stand by for the sound of freedom. 5 things a service member should know about TSP. So, before we go all the way into TSP, I just want you to know this is the first video I've recorded and put on YouTube for ChartYourFi. I've done some other videos on the side. I help my daughter and my son. They have their own little YouTube wannabe. They were pretty into it until we were doing these Christmas things, and they realized that there's a lot of work that goes into making a YouTube video, which was a great teaching lesson. My son, he told me one day I want to be a YouTuber. I kind of sat there, did it with him. He did not realize how much goes into all that. So if you ever have a kid that says they want to be a YouTuber, show them how to do it, because eventually they're going to be like, well, it's a lot of hard work. And if they, do it and they stick into it, they're going to learn some valuable lessons from that. So my daughter also followed the same suit, and she did her YouTube channel for a little bit. She actually sung a pretty cool, or told me a cool little story that I'm going to edit and I'm going to post. So stand by for that. It's Princess Sammy, her story she tells on a castle. So continuing back onto the 5 things that a service member should know about TSP. It's surprising to tell you this, but the first one is log on to your account. 3 out of 4 members that I talk to about TSP do not know how to access their account. That 3 out of 4 is actually kind of a low number, especially if you're talking to the more junior personnel. If you talk to somebody a little bit senior, someone that's been in like 8 years, that they may know how to get into TSP. But honestly, there's sailors that been in that long and don't even know how to log into it. That just goes to show you how much effort gets put into their financial education. And that's why financial counselors and fleet and family and those kind of services just need to be advertised out there to our not just our sailors, airmen, Marines, and all that stuff, but also leadership for them to push them into that direction, right? So, first, get access to your account. It's super easy. I got the link here, tsp.gov, access to your account. Set up your account, create a username. No longer do you have to wait so long to get into your TSP account. It used to take months, right? And if you're out on a boat or deployed, man, it could take even longer. They do use the mailing address out of your MyPay. So if that's not correct, it's not going to work. You need to make sure that your address is correct. If you're on deployment and you trust somebody like your mom, your wife, somebody like that, right? Send it to them and then have them send you the account, and then you can log in super easy. If you are no longer active duty military, you can go onto the TSP website and to this link right here and access your account. Super easy. It's way easier than it used to. Number 2, choose a fund. So here's the life cycle funds. There are a lot more life cycle funds than this. I just wanted to show you the top 3. 2020 or 2030, then you got 2040, 2050, right? So the percentages that you see on here is kind of their 5-year average. Pretty good, right? On par with some mutual funds out there. there is a like kind of like in between, like so like a 2035, a 2045, a 2055, and so on. But they didn't have all the 5-year averages, so that's why I picked these to show you. They're relatively new. The life cycle fund is kind of developing, so it may have a higher percentage later on in the grand scheme of things, but this is the history that you can find on life cycle funds. When I first started looking at my TSP account back in, I think 2012, I finally shifted it over to a life cycle fund. I wish I would have done a little bit more research before I did that, because I lost out on a lot. And you're going to see this here in a second. So here is the 5 original funds. So you got the G fund, F fund, C fund, S fund, and I fund, right? G fund, 1.95%. Man, that's your bonds and CDs. It is not going super high in the risk category. So it's definitely a lot safer, but it's not going to do anything for you as far as long-term growth. So you also got F fund, right? Your ag index, that's 3.18%. Not doing so good. Then you got your C fund. This is your heavy lifter, in my opinion, right? This is where Warren Buffett would tell you to put your money in the S&P 500. It follows along the same guidelines as the S&P 500, and that's 16.74%. It's pretty good. S fund, that's your Dow Jones, 12.37%. I fund, that's your international, and that is about 8.40%. Bear with me, saying numbers like that is kind of a tongue twister. So the rule of 72, right? That's the number 3 thing that you need to know. Rule 72. Anytime you take an investment, whether it's going to be buying individual stocks or getting into crypto or whatever you want, look at its growth, right? And I would look at the 5-year growth, look at the 10-year, do your own research and get the average. So if you take that interest rate and you divide it, you take 72 and you divide it by the interest, it's going to show you how long it's going to take for your money to double. So for example, that G fund, the bonds, it's really safe, but it's going to take you 36.9 years to double your money. So that's a long time. You're not going to get any growth out of that. Then you got the F fund, right? With 3.18%, 22 years. So C fund with the 16.74, I told you this is the heavy lifter, 4.3 years. Every 4.3 years, your money's going to double. S fund with the 12.37%, that is going to take you 5.8 years. Your international fund, the I fund, that's going to take with a 8.40%, it's going to take 8.57 years for your money to double. And remember, these are all based off of the 5-year return. So with that being said, if you look at the 10-year, it could be higher, it could be lower. Compound. This is where the rule of 72 shows you like how much your money will double. And the reason why it's doubling is because of compound. So putting 10% of your money in, if you don't at least get the match and put 5% in, because most of these junior guys, not as old guys, but the junior guys, they have the opportunity to get the blended retirement match. If you're not maximizing that match, you're just leaving money on the table. That 5%, if you put 5% in, that's 10%. Especially because of blended retirement, you're going to get a reduced pension. You really should look at investing the max into your TSP. I'm going to show you a little bit of stuff about like what would happen. So I got Jim, Tim, Bob, right? They all invest in TSP. They all make $2,000 a month. And I'm just going to tell you this, all right? These numbers are not realistic. You're going to see some of them, but it's just to kind of illustrate how over time, as you invest, how different methods will get you different results, right? So Tim puts in 10% with a match. So that match is 5%, remember? So he puts in 10% and he ends up getting 15 of his total income, which is $3,500 a year because they make $2,000 a month. Jim, starting off, puts with the match 25%, and that's about $6,000 a year. Then you got Bob. Bob's like, yeah, I'm gonna just go all out. Yeah, super saver, 30%, and with the match, that's 35%, and that's going to be $8,500 a year. All right, these guys never advance for this slideshow, and I tell you what, right now, if you go forever without an advancement, yeah, you have some other problems. But you're probably not going to be one of those kind of people if you're listening to this on how to improve your finances, in turn improve your goals, gold, and also improve yourself, right? So with this, they never got advanced, right? So they just stayed the same pay grade. They received a 2.5% raise every year, and that's just due to cost of living increases. They retire at 20 years of service, making $652,000 over the years, right? They put all their money into TSP, and 18 years later, after they retire, they look at their accounts, and this is what you're going to find. You're going to find that you need to invest early. So we talked about Tim, Jim, and Bob, but Jill is a savage. Tim, with 15% in the C fund for 38 years, has $6 million in his TSP. Now, if he took a 4% withdrawal, that allows his money to still grow depending on where he has it invested at, right? But this, for this argument's sake, they never took it out of the C fund, and it just followed its glide scope all the way, right? Keep that in mind. It's a glide scope. So that glide scope has a whole bunch of ups and downs if you were to look at a chart. But we'll just say, for argument's sake, it is the 16% the entire time. So with that 4% withdrawal, he's going to have $248,000 a year. He could probably live pretty comfortable with that amount of money. And then on top of that, he also gets his pension. So that's insane. That's an insane amount. This isn't even including his pension. Jim, that invested 25% in the C fund, ends up having $12 million after 38 years in TSB. With a 4% withdrawal, he would have $495,000 a year with a 4% withdrawal. Bob, with 35% in the C fund for 38 years, has $21 million in the bank. With a 4% withdrawal, that's $845,000 a year. That's insane. But this is why Jill is a savage. Jill front loaded all of her investing at the get-go. So for the first 4 years, she was able to put $1,000 a month. That's well over what the rest of them were doing. For first 4 years straight at the beginning of her career, right? So then once she was done with that, she only put 10% in for the rest of the time that she was active duty. You remember, Jill also had the same. She only made $2,000 a month, and she got the same 2.5% raise. And yeah, she never advanced. So even though she's super smart, and this is why it's not realistic, but I just want to point out the fact I kept it like this so that way you could see the numbers, right? If front loading it like that with a 4% withdrawal, she's going to end up having $24 million. And then with a 4% withdrawal, that's $940,000 a year. Jill invested over half of what Bob did, but kept up in pace because of compound interest. So the rule of the rule is invest early. That's why invest early is so important. You got to educate yourself on these things, right? TSP requires some discipline. It requires patience, and it requires pretty much to put it in there and leave it alone. Seriously, leave it alone. If you were to review anything that Warren Buffett says that if he were to get rid of all of his, like let's say he were to pass away, right, and his money were to go to his dependents, he would have all that money go into what? The S&P 500 and follow the market. Why is that? Well, because he knows that unless you're like Warren Buffett smart and picking single stocks, yeah, the S&P 500 is the way to go. It's growth, is going to do a lot more for you. It's a heavy lifter. Now, with that being said, you got to realize that this goes up and down, right? So there's a lot of education out there. TSP has some great information. I'll take you to the site so you can see. Just bear with me for a second. All right. So I want you to see this. Here's the website right here. So you got the website right here, right? So you can find everything you need to do coming in here, and you can see all different items, right? How to invest, life cycle funds, individual funds, fund performance, all that stuff, right? Log in, has all the good stuff in here. So you can come in here and look at your funds and all that stuff. Super easy to navigate. You guys nowadays have it way better than the rest of us. So take a look at that. Listening to ChartYourFi. I hope you enjoyed this episode, the 5 things that you should know about TSP. Also, if you go to www.chartyourfi.com and join the mail subscription list and then post a comment on our podcast, I will send you a free gift. And that free gift is your net worth calculator and also a free budget guide. So check it out, subscribe, make some comments, and make some connections in your path to financial independence. Again, if you like this video, subscribe, hit the like button, ring that bell, and also leave a comment. You guys take care.